we're going to go right into questions for hitting coach and recruiting coordinator Norberto Lopez. First up, we have Christopher Stock of Inside the U. Chris, go ahead.
Coach, I was kind of curious on an update on how Raymond Gill is doing, and then kind of with that, just your thoughts on Yo-Yo and Dominic Patelli, how they've kind of done in preseason.
Gill's doing good. He's got cleared to do everything. Obviously, he's getting through some kinks. Obviously, after any surgery, you're always getting comfortable with your body and really reassuring yourself that the confidence that you need to have back in that leg. But I think he's doing really good. He's been turning it up lately and getting after it. So I don't see no problems going into it now, Defensively, I think he still needs to kind of reassure himself that he can move. But the doctors and everybody have told us that he's cleared, that he's good to go. He just needs to figure it out himself that he's good to go. But defensively is where I've seen him kind of be a little worried some when it comes to going laterally or in any direction. To be honest with you, he's a little concerned, I think, with it. And every once in a while, you'll see him hobble around a little bit, but he gets over and he's pushing it more now. Now that the doctors have reassured him, he's really starting to push himself even more. With Dominic and Yo-Yo, they're talents, very good talented players. Their ceilings are real high. Defensively, Dom is a really good defensive shortstop, and his bats really come along. He showed good approaches at the plate. He has a lot of sneaky juice for a small guy, to be honest with you. We saw him hitting some balls out of the park to the opposite field way as a shorter guy, which you don't get to see that much, but shows you the strength that he has. And Yohani's a very special talent. That type of talent doesn't make it to campus if it wasn't for a 5-round draft. So, but on top of that, the person that he is, really hard worker, extremely dedicated, coachable, doing a great job, both of those guys.
Awesome. We're going to go to David Frones of the Sun Sentinel. David, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. I wanted to ask about how this recruiting class sort of came together, and also with the pandemic. Were there any specific changes that you had to make in your strategy, or how to evaluate guys, or how to approach them, and just what the whole process was like in this altered recruiting cycle?
Yes, the class got together a long time ago. We recruit these guys as 9th graders and 10th graders. So a lot of times these guys committed to us in their 10th grade year. So, but the one thing we've learned, or Gino have really taught us here, especially being a recruiter here at the University of Miami, is that you need to re-recruit your guys. So the one thing that the pandemic allowed us, because, you can only bring in people so many times on campus to win them over, to show them why the path to college is more important than pro ball, the Zoom allowed us to meet with them a lot more. And that interaction, even though it's not, in person, you are like we are right now, we're virtually, that interaction helps out. And it gave us a lot more opportunities to show them why they need to pick the college route over the pro route. And again, that's biased. That's our opinion. Everybody else has their own opinions out there, but that's what we tell and we back it up. We back it up with statistics and what we've done in the past. And the 5-round draft did help us. So when you talk about the COVID, having the 5-round draft is what really helped us. But that 5-round draft was everybody else had to deal with as well too. We got very fortunate that our guys had a high ticket number, and they valued education a lot. And I think a lot of that has to do with the PowerPoints and everything that Gino made us do for our incoming guys, to show them why the path through college gives you better statistics to make it to the big leagues, in our opinion.
Awesome. Lopes, we have time for a couple more. We're going to go to David Wilson of the Miami Herald. David, go ahead.
I want to ask you a little bit about the 2 freshman pitchers. Obviously, you're not working with them now, but just the recruitment of them. Obviously, they're both big-time recruits. What do you remember kind of the first time you saw them? What stood out over? I'm sure you've been, like you said, been recruiting them since they were 14 years old or whatever.
Yeah, they're elite talent. I mean, them standing out is not that hard to see. They're always been the best players in the nation. Those 2 guys, the thing that we got lucky is that they wanted to be Canes. Since they were little, they wanted to be Canes. They're here from Miami. They wanted to be around their family. They grew up wanting to be a Cane. They came to our ballpark to see games. And we were very blessed to have talent like that around our area that really wanted to be here. But With that being said, we hit them hard because a lot of schools were recruiting them. Everybody in the country were recruiting them, and we had to show them the same love and show them how we were going to develop them. And having a guy like J.D. Arteaga on your staff, which has known to teach guys how to pitch, because those guys in the recruiting process, and they know it themselves, they were good throwers. Now they're coming here with J.D., which J.D.'s specialty is to teach them how to pitch versus being a thrower. And that's why we've seen significant jumps from them as they've been here. But the recruiting process was no other. We hit them with all forts as much as we can because we didn't want to lose them. That's one thing, you know. So we got very lucky that their dream school was Miami. And that's why we're blessed to have people like that come to our university that are that talented, because it means a little bit more when something is your dream school. So both of those guys, Maderos and Rosario, it didn't take long to convince them. But then after that, the harder part was convincing them not to go to pro ball. That was the harder part.
All right, Lopes, our last question for you comes from Josh White of WVUM. Josh, go ahead.
Hey, Lopes, how are you?
How you doing? Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Lopes. Two questions for you real quick about the two California kids. Chad Bourne, freshman, who seems like he hit pretty well in the fall. Just what have you seen from him? And then just Jared Thomas, kind of his progression. Obviously had a shortened freshman year, but how has he improved his game heading into his second year?
Well, I'll start off with Chad. Chad's, again, one of those talents that we're very lucky to have. He's very, you know, as it comes to the hitter, we do a lot of metrics now. We have our indoor facility that we do blast motions and all that. His metrics are as high as Del Castillo's metrics. Just to tell you how high his metrics are. That should paint you a picture there. His approach for a freshman is so advanced. The way he takes pitches and the way he takes a swing, how his bat's so long in the zone. And then on top of that, he's fearless. He's diving into walls out there. As a freshman, he's normally freshmen normally stick out on fly ball communications as outfielders because they're a little timid. They don't want to call people off and stuff like that. And Chad is like diving all over the place, calling people off, just taking action into his own hands out there, which sometimes people are scared to do that. So we're very pleased with him. He's somebody to definitely keep a watch. You know, we got Jenkins, which is a veteran guy, so he's going to learn a lot from him. But if anything happens, he's going to get an opportunity, and that's going to be a good competition to watch between those two guys, you know. But then on top of that, you know, Jared's really improved with his catching. That's one of the things that him and I talked about before he left. We needed to improve his catching, especially his receiving. So we've done some changes there. He was a big funnel guy, and we worked on changing his technique to a work-through method. So he's working through the ball now when he receives more, and that seems to help him out more, and he's gotten a lot better at that. He's always had a strong arm, very athletic type of guy, so that's never been a problem. It was more his receiving that we really worked on really hard. But what we've seen a huge jump in this fall has been his bat, which we know the potential is there. He hit a ball 415 feet dead center, hit the top of the batter's eye a couple games ago. So we've seen a huge improvement with him at the plate. You know,
in the short time they've been here so far, and then also what gives you the confidence that as freshmen they can take on those roles?
Well, the first thing that jumps at you that you know, they're very physically talented. You know, both guys are mid to upper 90s type guys, and you know, when they want to, they throw strikes, which for a young pitcher is something that, you know, they're a little bit ahead of their time there. They throw strikes, they're efficient, you know, very competitive. You know, you take a kid like Alejandro Rosario, which it's amazing. He's kind of, you know, gym rat. He's always around, always listening. When you're talking, no matter who you're talking to, one of the other pitchers or hitters, he's always not far away, kind of listening in and just taking every little bit that he can out of every conversation that you're having with somebody. And just learning and getting better every day. You know, same thing with Victor. He's, I mean, both guys are very coachable, great to work with, you know, and I think the future is very bright for both of those guys.
Awesome. Next up, we're going to go to Matt Shodell of Kane Sport. Matt, go ahead.
Hey, JD.
How you doing, Matt?
Hey. So I wanted to ask you a little bit. I know you guys haven't told the team yet who the closer will be, but I just want to sort of pick your brain for how confident you are in the bullpen. You got two freshman starters. I assume you're going to want to rely on that bullpen a little bit, especially early in the year, just to sort of be ready and keep those guys fresh and confident. Can you talk about maybe some of the guys in the mix, how you feel like that whole group's coming together?
Well, Carson Palmquist has been as dominating of a pitcher as we've had here in a long time. You know, it's a short, I guess, stint last year what he showed in the regular season, but you know, in the fall he was our pitcher of the year in the fall, and this spring he's been amazing as well. So very confident in the back end there with him, and they just got kind of a low 3/4 slot left-hander is a very different look, something you don't see every day. So, and he's not a soft thrower either. So he's a tough at bat there for both righties and lefties. You know, and getting to him, the biggest difference we have this year is the amount of depth that we have. You know, we got guys in the setup row there, and you know, J.P. Gates that had a kind of a bounce back season on the mound last year. Was throwing the ball very well when the season ended or got stopped. Then you got Ben Wanger coming in from USC last year, which is a preseason All-American as a closer and a hitter. But he's going to be our right-handed setup man to start the year, and then you start throwing in some JUCO transfers. Anthony Arguelles has been spectacular for us all fall and spring. And then you got some really good arms and Jake Smith, and you got Jordan Dubberly and Jake Garland. I mean, these guys just fell short of that, weekend rotation type guys. Unfortunately, we only have 3 games a week for the first 3 weeks of the season. So we're going in, with an extra arm there in the bullpen that normally we wouldn't have. And some other freshmen in there, and returning guys like McFarland, which was our number 4 starter last year, is going to be in the bullpen. So we really have some quality arms and a lot of depth in there, and guys that we can go to at any time, really.
Awesome. We got time for a couple more. We're going to go to David Wilson of the Miami Herald. David, go ahead.
Hey, JD. Gino was just talking about Fetterman and said he basically thinks Fetterman feels even a little more comfortable as a starter than he has been as a reliever. Just what have you seen from him? What do you think makes him kind of more comfortable in that role? And how, with 2 freshmen as the rest of the weekend rotation, how important is it to kind of have a veteran guy in there to hopefully stabilize them as they go through their usual freshman stuff?
Yeah, well, that Friday night guy kind of sets the tone for the whole weekend, And a couple of things you need out of him is consistency and to be able to go deep into games. The last thing you want to do is really run through your bullpen on Friday night and go into Saturday, Sunday limping a little bit with, worried about pitch counts and who can come back and who can't, things like that. So, I mean, Fetterman as a freshman, he's done just about anything we've asked him to do as a freshman. He did start a handful of games and was very, very successful at it. Through middle relief, he's been our closer. He's been our setup man when the team needed it, because that's, we were very strong in the top end of the staff last year with Saccone and McMahon and Van Bell and those guys. So we needed him to be a closer, and he was. So he's done a little bit of everything. But his temperament, the type of pitcher he is, he's more suited as a starter. He gets a little emotional at times. So kind of with that starting role, he kind of ease into the game a little bit instead of just being thrown to the fire in the 8th or 9th inning. I just think it's a better fit for him mentally than anything else. And he's a guy that throws, 4 pitches for strikes, and another very efficient type of pitcher that's going to pitch to contact and go deep into games.
All right, JD, our last question for you comes from Luis Zavala of CBS Sports. Luis, go ahead.
JD, what's going on? You mentioned only 3 games the first 3 weeks. How are you going to get all these guys work? How challenging is that going to be? Are you going to do more of the MLB style now that we're seeing, let guys go a little shorter, the starters, and try to work guys in?
I don't think that's going to be our approach. I mean, look, you're going to do your best to try to get everybody innings and get everybody work, but hopefully they don't. That means our starter did a good job and went deep into games, and our closers and setup guys are doing their jobs and getting outs when we need them. And normally this time of year we don't stretch our starters out too much anyway. So there's always more opportunities for guys early, and you tell them that the way we start is not usually the way we finish as far as the rotation is concerned. And there's more opportunities early because the pitch counts are at 80, maybe 85 for those starters. As we get into the season, the guys start getting stretched out to 100, 105 pitches, then obviously the innings are limited. And as long as guys are doing their jobs, it's their job, and they're going to be in there as long as they're getting out. We're not going to be the Tampa Bay Rays here and go 3 innings and get in and get out type thing. So, we'll do our best. If the situation calls for bringing guys in early and mixing and matching when we have to, we'll do that. It's just nice to go to bed at night knowing we have the ability to do that, which we haven't had that depth in the past few years, and this year we do. So we have a lot of guys to go to.